everybody, and welcome to my short talk on career paths. Today we'll be covering my journey from Duchess to universities and what A-levels I did and what advice I can potentially give you to help you with your careers.
During my time at Duchess, I opted for more practical subjects like art, product design and BTEC engineering, and I knew I would excel a lot more at these subjects due to the practical assessments rather than it being a massive essay.
Fortunately, I was able to use loads of different resources from Duchess, like the lathe, the 3D printer, and a laser cutter, which actually at university is very even rare to have. So I suggest anyone who can get their hands on it, use it, because it is a brilliant bit of technology. And I'm speaking to all students who want to do a creative path, is to utilise all the resources that they have at Duchess, because once you leave, it's going to be a little bit harder to get your hands on these type of things, like a laser cutter. And I know it's a scary notion to think one day that you'll grow up and leave Duchess, but you will. And if you want to go for a job, you are going to have to prove that you have more skills than anyone else. So I say soak up as much knowledge as you can from Duchess. Utilise every piece of material and machinery you have. And I think in my case, that worked for me because of the university I was going to. They wanted to see more experience. They wanted to see what I could do, that I was proactive. But also doing different things means that you can go for many other type of jobs that you probably never knew were available to you.
These are just a few examples of some of the career paths you could potentially go down if you took any one of my A-levels that I did. When I found out that all of my skills could be used for so many different jobs, I quickly then researched into what I actually wanted to do and what I would find fun, because there's nothing worse than being in a job that you don't like. This then led me to go down the route of theatre. As some of you might already know, I designed some of the sets for Mr. Allenby's productions that were held at the Playhouse. This in turn helped me to understand what I wanted to do as a career, as at that moment I was unsure but knew it was in a creative area. And where did this then take me? To GSA, Guildford School of Acting in Surrey. Some of the reasons for choosing this particular university came from it being quite a practical course, like my A-levels were, but also its high theatre performance reputation and the amount of resources that they had at their workshop, which for me was the most interesting bit of the university, because that's where I thrive and I love working. And this is just a little walk around of the props department and set pieces. These are pretty much all the pieces that we've made in the last year or two, kept in storage for when we might need it for a new show, but also props and other bits and pieces that stage management might possibly need. So far my time at GSA has been utterly priceless. I wouldn't change any aspect of it, even the COVID parts, because I've just thoroughly enjoyed it and gained so much experience from all of this. If you haven't been able to see a GSA show, these are a few snippets of what some of these sets would look like. And this is a model box, which is basically a scaled down version of what the actual theatre inside would look like with the set in it. I started doing my own little pieces and designing my own little set, and yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think it's probably one of my favourite things I've done all year. Due to COVID, this has affected the past 6 months of my education, meaning I haven't been able to go into university to put on these great shows. But to combat this, we've ended up making something called COVID compliant shows. These new type of COVID compliant shows are either created from filming and then cutting it into a movie, or having it live streamed for anyone who wants to buy tickets to see. Luckily, I was chosen to be head designer and construction manager over this show called Refuge. The director for the show wanted it to be a rubble wasteland-esque refuge home. Unfortunately, as you can see, the set isn't as big and as vast as the other ones have been, but that was just due to the amount of people being able to be on this show, as it is COVID compliant.
Now let's move off from theatre and go to film and TV. And anyone who knows me knows that I love Doctor Who, if you couldn't tell. And I want to go into film and TV specifically to try and get to this kind of genre of work. So fantasy, sci-fi, that kind of thing, where every day is something new, where you're told one day you have to build a 50-foot dinosaur, and the next you have to build a tiny space-travelling gem. And once COVID has got itself out of the way and the world goes back to normal, I can hopefully try and achieve these things. So, thank you very much for listening. I hope this was interesting and maybe even helped you understand what you wanted to do as a career, or even where just to take the next steps to. And if anyone else is interested in learning a little bit more about GSA, then I will put their link to their page in the next slide, and also their Instagram if you're interested in what happens behind the scenes. I will also put mine in just for good measure if you'd like to see what I actually do as well behind the scenes in construction. I hope you all enjoyed this and have a fabulous new year.